Hello again, Kevin Cosmo here. Welcome to another episode of High Energy Parenting. In this episode, we're in the kitchen. I'd like to share a little bit of my favorite kitchen tools, the things that have served me so well and allowed me to create some of the recipes you've seen, perhaps, and enjoyed. So today I'd like to focus on 6 of my favorite ingredients, 6 of my favorite tools rather, that helped me prepare the ingredients. And the first one is a Citrustar juicer. Yeah, I said Citrustar because I've gone through a few juicers. I'm sure people have other juicers they recommend. I've heard good things about a Tri-Best juicer, but really the Citrustar juicer. If you go through oranges as often as we do, we go through on average about 2 cases a week, about 70, 80 pounds of oranges every week. A Citrustar juicer like this one, it's held up fantastically over the years. This one's lasted about a year. Most of the other models burned out, just didn't last as long as we needed them to, and it's a bummer when you've got a couple cases of oranges sitting around and your juicer goes out. I know they're relatively inexpensive, but they still take a couple days to get there, or you have to go to the store and buy one. It's a pain. It's nice to have your juicer reliably work for you, so I highly recommend the Citrustar juicer. But definitely every raw vegan kitchen, every high energy parenting kitchen needs a good citrus juicer. And the kids love it too. The kids, you just chop up a bunch of oranges, let them sit up there, chop up tangerines, let the kids sit up on top of the counter and start blending. They love it. The next tool you may have seen, it is the highly touted Vitamix. Here you're just seeing the base. And here is the top tool, the top blender piece. It was in use today, so it's still a little wet and it was in the sink area. But it's a fantastic tool. I can't recommend the Vitamix more. I should have more of these blender tops. I've already busted the other one that was extra that we had. The tamper piece I've gone through. I highly recommend if you get a new Vitamix, be careful with your tamper. Only stick it in there with this top on. The tamper is that piece that helps push things down. Once you break it, it's broken and you got a bunch of plastic pieces in your smoothie or in your soup. That's not a fun mess. So use it wisely, but use it often. I use a Vitamix every day. Every single day I've used a Vitamix since I've bought it. I'm pretty sure that's the case because somebody in the house has needed a smoothie made or a soup made or a sauce made or a dressing made every day. Banana pancakes being put in the dehydrator. There's so many uses for this. To make your own almond milk, to make your own nut butters. Vitamix has to be a high quality blender. I won't say you have to have a Vitamix, but if you're serious about this, you get a Vitamix. It was a $400 investment. I remember it was the first piece of kitchen equipment we bought, and I remember my partner Megan, she was very hesitant too, but then we both got excited about it because we realized this was going to be an investment. Once again, I come back to that mindset. We knew we were making an investment, and to top it off, Vitamix has a fantastic warranty or guarantee policy. We've turned ours in a couple times due to our overuse of it or improper use of it, and they've always been exceptionally accommodating. But I remember that initial investment. It was a big chunk of money, $450 at the time. There's probably cheaper Vitamixes you could buy these days, but it was worth every single penny. And when we got it, we realized we had bought that investment and we were mindful of it. It was a big deal for us, so we used it a lot. And that was giving us the returns on that investment right away. So I don't know how many days or times I put it to use, but I'm sure I'm well under $1 per use. I'm well under 50% per use. I'm got to be under about a dime per use at this point. So I've seen people have their Vitamixes last decades. The next piece of equipment that I highly recommend if you want to have a fully furnished, fully capable kitchen for raw vegan purposes or 80-10-10 purposes or high energy parenting purposes is a juicer. Here we've got the Vert juicer. This is a fantastic fruit and vegetable juicer that gets a great amount of juice out of the food you toss in, leaving dry pulp behind. Even watermelon comes out with a nice, relatively dry fiber coming out. So I highly recommend the Omega. This was recommended to me by Christina, Fully Raw Christina. Have fully furnished, fully capable kitchen for raw vegan purposes or 80-10-10 purposes or high energy parenting purposes is a juicer. Here we've got the Vert juicer. This is a fantastic fruit and vegetable juicer that It gets a great amount of juice out of the food you toss in, leaving dry pulp behind. Even watermelon comes out with a nice, relatively dry fiber coming out. So I highly recommend the Omega. The fourth piece of equipment that I highly recommend is a food processor. This food processor is old. It is old. It is Cuisinart. I gotta recommend Cuisinart just because of this one I've used. I've used other ones at various festivals and at various events and retreats that I've helped run, but this one, the Cuisinart, holds up the best. At the retreats as well, the Cuisinarts hold up fantastically. I have only good things to say about Cuisinart. Highly recommend buying one of these. This one was gifted me from my mom a few years back when I started eating more healthfully, and it's lasted fantastically. She got it over 20 years ago, and it's still holding up, doing its job. We use this food processor maybe once every day, maybe once every other day. It's either processing some nuts to toss on something, maybe processing some mulberries, dried mulberries, to toss on some ice cream or onto a smoothie or onto a parfait. Maybe blending up some 1, 2, 3, I'm sure you've seen that recipe. We put this to use quite a bit, making a slaw or some other blend or a crust for pies or cakes. Definitely need a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, I don't know how you're processing or blending up many of the dishes that I would make or recommend you make. Definitely every raw vegan kitchen, every 80-10-10 kitchen, every high energy parenting kitchen deserves to have a food processor. Once again, another fun one for the kids because they get to just toss things in and watch them blend up. You can prepare them together, prepare all the ingredients, then toss them in together and enjoy that. Now the fifth piece that I highly recommend, you'll see over here, is the dehydrator. The dehydrator is once again something we use so often. It's got this version of the Excalibur has 9 trays, allowing for kale chips, banana chips if I want to slice up bananas, making banana pancakes, fruit wraps, wraps for different rolls and salads, croutons, pie crusts. I don't know how many different things I've come up with, or ways you could come up with for using a dehydrator, making different Kentucky dried cauliflower. You've probably seen that recipe. There's so many uses for a dehydrator. Even just dehydrating my own celery and tomatoes. These are sun-dried tomatoes or dehydrated dried tomatoes. And here's some celery. If you can see it, it's pulverized, it's powder now. But we dried the celery in the dehydrator, chopped it up and dried it, and then tossed it through the Vitamix, dry Vitamix, and now I've got celery powder. It instant salty flavor for any dish or soup I'm creating. So there's fantastic uses for the dehydrator when you have extra things come through in the garden, extra creative ideas, something that came out a little too runny and need to dry a little bit. Dehydrator gets used quite often here in this household too. Maybe once every day, maybe once every other day. And then at the same time too, sometimes in the winter, rather sometimes in the summer, in the warm months, the dehydrator might not get turned on for days just because there's so many fantastic fresh options around that we just don't have a need for it or have a thought to use it. So those are my favorite 5. The 6th tool is the good old Spiralizer. If you have been following High Energy Parenting for a little while or following me, you'll notice I have a propensity to enjoy cucumber noodles. And the way I make my cucumber noodles is using this very inexpensive but very awesome device called the Spiralizer. You get to slide in different slides like this to make different types of noodles. This is the traditional spaghetti noodle slide. Then you basically peel a cucumber or leave it unpeeled, place it in between here, and just noodles come out the other end. The kids love the noodles coming out, love spiralizing them. There's other blades that come with it oftentimes, and this makes a wide, flatter noodle. But a Spiralizer, fantastic way to make, spaghetti is now an option, right? Linguine, fettuccine, all become options again when you have a Spiralizer. And you notice here that we actually have some headphones. These are because when we're blending something really fast in the food processor or in the Vitamix there, Tulani or whatever child is working with us will usually have headphones on to keep their hearing protected. So I highly recommend you take a look at these tools, my 6 favorite tools, the 6 tools that I consider essential parts of a high energy parenting kitchen. Here they are. If you want to eat raw vegan, you want to eat 80-10-10, you want to eat low fat cooked vegan, this is how to do it. Raw till 4, you're going to need these 6 pieces of equipment to make it far more enjoyable, far more fun, because that's really what it's all about. Making it more fun, more enjoyable, and certainly delicious. I've included some links below this video for you to check out some of this equipment if you want to be able to find it more easily, some of the specific brands or versions I recommended. Just check out the links below. And until the next video, live joyously, parent passionately. The 33-day High Energy Parenting online course is now open for registration. With over 66 days worth of meal plans, 33 days of morning motivational videos, 21 hours of course video, 4 coaching calls, access to a private community, it's a completely comprehensive course. So click here to learn more and register today.